Ready-made maths YouTube training videos. Teacher and teaching assistant mathematics training. This is the bonus video for day 7, just a very short video looking at the big picture for decimal place value. This is an alternate version of what we looked at last week with 4-digit numbers, when we looked at the whole thing in ones and then we built it into tens, into hundreds and finally into thousands. We're now going to look at the same with hundreds. We're going to see the whole picture in hundreds and we're going to build that up into tenths and hundreds and finally into wholes, tenths and hundreds. It's a really nice way of letting the children see the big picture behind decimals and that things don't initially start with the whole, they start with hundreds and then get built up. So you can really see the idea of regrouping and then exchanging.
We're going to finish our look at decimal place value to 2 decimal places by looking at something very similar to what we did last week with thousands, hundreds, tens and ones. I've just poured a whole load of hundreds on the table. Let's take a look. Not as many as last week, so I haven't got that much time in order to do it, but you've got there lots and lots of hundreds. What I'd love to know is, what actually is that number as a decimal number to 2 decimal places? Imagine starting that with the children for one lesson and saying, right, there's my hundreds. What do you reckon that is as wholes, tenths and hundreds? So what the children are then going to have to do, like we did last week with 4-digit numbers, this will be like a 3-digit number version. Can they build that picture up from hundreds to tenths and hundreds to wholes, tenths and hundreds? So we're going to do that obviously at SuperSpeed very, very shortly. But the first thing I'd like you to do is just to look at it and do a quick estimate. What do you think that is as wholes, tenths and hundreds? As a decimal number, what would you say that looks like? So hopefully you've now got your estimate. What we're now going to do is we're going to turn all of those hundreds into tenths and hundreds at SuperSpeed. Off we go. What we can now see, hopefully, are those hundreds that we had rearranged in a way that even if we looked at it now, we could probably work out what the overall number was. But what we're going to do is continue doing a little bit more exchanging. What we've currently done is we've regrouped those hundreds into basically tenths. So let's have a look at the table. And each of those individual hundreds has been regrouped. So we can now see a whole that's been split into 10 tenths, another whole over here that's been split into 10 tenths, and part of a whole that currently has been split into 6 tenths and an extra 2 hundreds. So if I looked at this, I can see 100 hundredths, 200 hundredths and 62 hundredths overall. We can probably work out what the number is, but what we're going to do now is we're going to actually now do some exchanging. We're going to take these regrouped hundreds and we're going to exchange them for tenths. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously you can see we've got 10 tenths there. So each one of those is worth the same value as an exchanged tenth. So what I can now do is basically take those and exchange them for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we can now see that it definitely is 10 tenths. So the 100 hundredths are now worth 10 tenths. We've got another 100 hundredths here. So again, I can exchange those 100 hundredths for 10 tenths. 10, 20, 30, 40, that's 50 hundredths or 5 tenths. 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 hundredths or another 10 tenths. So we can see now what we've got here. And finally, we've got 1 tenth, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths, 5 tenths. Didn't need to count them. 5 tenths and another one, that's 6 tenths. So I'll get those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've now got 6 tenths and 2 hundredths. Now at that point, again, I can work out what the number is, but I can look at this and say, okay, what have I got here? I've got 10 tenths. What do I know about 10 tenths? I know 10 tenths is worth 1 whole. I've got another 10 tenths down here. What do I know about those 10 tenths? That's worth another whole. Put those two together. I've now got 2 wholes 6/10, and 2/100. The number that I had at the start was 2.62, or as we had at the start, we had 262 hundredths. We then exchanged it for 26/10 and 2/100, and we ended up with 2 wholes, 6/10 and 2/100. I hope you enjoyed that little activity, which really does allow you to see how those hundreds can be then regrouped and then exchanged again until we end up with the actual basic decimal number. So thank you very much for watching that part of the video. I hope you found that really useful, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next part of the Ready-Made Mathematics YouTube training.
So thanks for watching the bonus video, and I do hope you found that useful as well. Please join me tomorrow. As we saw on the previous video, we're going to be looking at a whole range of mental multiplication strategies over the next week or so. We're going to be delving into them in many, many different ways, playing quite a few games and seeing a range of strategies very similar to what we did with mental addition. So thank you very much, and I shall see you all tomorrow.